So hi everyone, I'm Amy Lester. I'm from University of South Florida, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of the research that we've done with the car share program that's currently available on campus to our students. So just a little background, because most of you have probably not visited the university, so we do have many campuses. This research specifically focused on the Tampa campus. It's a suburban campus, primarily a commuter school. About 38,000 students, 12,000 faculty and staff. The vast majority own their own vehicles and drive them to campus. The car share program began in July 2009. The Center for Urban Transportation Research provides subsidies for the first 3 years to get it off the ground. And there's currently 4 vehicles available on campus. We have a couple hundred active members and about 10 to 20 members joining per month currently. So some of the long-term goals of why this program was brought to the campus. So first was to reduce congestion by encouraging alternate modes of transportation. So it's really trying to get students and faculty, but primarily students, to see that there are other alternative modes of transportation than having a personal vehicle on campus. Also to reduce auto ownership amongst students, provide cost savings since students would pay per use, reduce emissions by lowering overall vehicle miles, facilitate more efficient land use with the reduction of parking garages and open parking spaces, and also increase mobility options and connectivity among transportation modes. So a little bit of the research framework. So my background is in social marketing. So we used a community-based social marketing approach, which basically uses marketing principles to encourage behavior change that's socially beneficial. And one of the hallmarks of social marketing is really getting an audience orientation. So this was spoke about earlier this morning in the sessions, but really learning from our customers what they want, what they need, and then developing our programs around that. So we were trying to figure out what is it that the students that are being served, what is it that's ultimately going to encourage them to change their behavior and become members of this car share program and to engage in the program with us. So we wanted to learn as much as we could from the students that we were serving. So specifically, this research, we wanted to know how students currently travel on campus, as well as from campus to other destinations. So the cars are on campus, so we really were interested in how they're moving about when they're on campus and then moving off campus. We also wanted to know how willing they were to adopt the car sharing program that's available, their opinions about car sharing, including motivators and barriers to using car sharing. So what are the costs to them to joining this program and giving up their personal vehicle? And then what are the benefits? And how can we highlight those benefits, reduce those costs, kind of turn the tables where being part of the car share is more beneficial than having their own vehicle on campus? We also wanted to look at barriers students experience related to other means of transportation. So what's our competition? What else do they have as far as owning a personal vehicle? What kinds of barriers can we highlight to owning a personal vehicle? Many of the students talked about cost of their personal vehicle, so how can we show them that that barrier is higher than the benefits that we want them to join the car share program? And finally, we were interested in the marketing medium that students would best respond to. So how are we going to get to these students? Once we know what's going to motivate them to act, how are we going to encourage them, and what kind of marketing materials are we going to use? What will they best respond to? So our data collection consisted of focus groups and an online survey. Our focus groups were completed last fall in 2014. We had 7 focus groups where we divided the students based on commonalities. So we included international students in separate focus groups. We divided them or separated them from non-resident students, resident students, and current car share members. We thought it was really important to also hear from students that were already partaking in the car share program. What kinds of things were really working for the program? So for inclusion, we had currently enrolled students in the Tampa campus only, 18 years of age or older, and had a valid driver's license. And these were the requirements to be part of the car share program. So that's why we included these for our focus groups. We then developed an online survey based on the findings of the focus group, so what the students told us. And then for the inclusion criteria was similar. However, we dropped the valid driver license requirement. In the focus groups, a lot of students talked about using car share as a carpooling service where they could join up with friends, and possibly only one person needs to have the driver's license. So we want to hear from those students as well. So just some of our characteristics. So 29 students complete focus groups. We had the survey of 270 students. A little difficult getting a hold of those students. Unfortunately, our university doesn't allow us to contact students directly through any of the university mediums. So we use some kind of creative ways to have students complete our survey, but still a good number of students. Female, most were female. Small percentage were international. The overwhelming majority were full-time. Most were non-resident. 70% own their own vehicle, and 62% of them from the survey students say that they pay for the majority of their transportation expenses. So some of our findings. The first thing that was really interesting that we found, we were asking students what the trustworthy sources of information were going to be. If we were going to talk to them about the car sharing program, traditionally it's been, and this is a program that's privately run by Enterprise, so traditionally it's been an Enterprise representative on campus speaking with students about the program. So we wanted to know, well, what would be the best source of information if you were going to join the program? What would make you most likely to join the program? And we used a Likert scale, and we have the analysis in some of the papers that we're working on now. But just very generally, you can see that fellow USF students have used the program, had the most very likely and likely answers. So students want to hear about the program from other students. And they told us also that at orientation would be the best time to learn about the program before they start. So we asked students, also very importantly, what are the barriers to using the car share program? Lack of awareness and lack of knowledge and misconceptions were the two most often mentioned. Also, a lot of students pointed out that the program wasn't USF branded. They didn't feel like it was for them. There is a credit card requirement to join the program. So a lot of students talked about how alternate methods, such as having a debit card or maybe using bowl bucks. University of South Florida bowls. So we have bowl bucks, which they use for dining and other things on campus. So they talked about, maybe having a prepaid on their student ID where they already have their bowl bucks loaded, maybe having their parents or somebody load credits onto their student IDs. Also, the location of the vehicles. I mentioned we have 4 vehicles. They're in 2 separate locations, so 2 vehicles near one of the resident dorms, and then 2 vehicles are located at our student center. So a lot of the students said that's just too far. Most students, 75% said they would not walk more than half of a mile to get to a car share vehicle. So that's huge when we only have 2 locations of the vehicles, and most of them are much further than half a mile from the residence halls. Again, most of them said program not for them. So many students said, I already have a car, I don't need this. So that was another barrier we have to overcome and show them that, well, maybe your car's going to break down, or maybe there's other reasons why you may need a car share vehicle membership. Also, it takes planning. A lot of the students discussed it being a member of the car share program and not having their own vehicle. They equated that to the car share program almost acting as their parent and telling them what to do when they could do it. Students wanted their own vehicle where if they went to a party, they went out to eat, they went on a date, they didn't have to be back at a specific time. They wanted to be free to do what they wanted to do. So this planning was kind of a burden to them. It was holding them back, and they weren't going to give up their own car to be part of this program if it takes too much planning. Also concerned about other car share members. Students were very concerned about how the other students would treat the vehicles, if they'd be left dirty. They wanted a presentable car, a nice looking car to drive around in. They were also worried that students wouldn't bring it back on time, and they'd be standing there waiting for their vehicle, and another student would just carelessly not bring it back. And then also, since we did have a lot of international students that respond, they talked about the unfamiliarity with driving around USF and just in general, just driving in the United States as well. So I'm just going to go a little bit into more detail on 2 of these just to highlight. So lack of awareness. In our focus groups, we heard overwhelmingly 6 out of the 7 focus groups, and again, because one of the focus groups was current car share members. So all of the focus groups that weren't composed of car share members talked about that most students on campus don't know that this program even exists. When we surveyed as a follow-up question, we found that 55% of students that were surveyed had no idea that the car share program was available on campus. So we have a huge barrier here with lack of awareness. Also, lack of knowledge and misconceptions. So the students talked about, for instance, one of my favorite ones, this is where the car share, where two of the vehicles are parked next to one of the dorms. And it's hard to see, but right back here is a walkway that goes directly to the dorm that has the highest freshman residence population. So we thought, and the car is actually parked right here. There's two of them right here at the corner, right next to the sidewalk. So freshman students are walking past that car daily. I mean, lots of students passing this car. However, it's parked in an E-lot, which stands for employee. So our students in our focus group said, we didn't even know that was for us. It's in the employee lot. We had no idea this was a student program. Also, when we asked students, so this is some of our survey questions. These are the students who were knowledgeable about the program, so only 45% of students. But of them, only 81% knew that the program was available to students, faculty, and staff to rent vehicles by hour or day. 78% of students knew that you only had to be 18 years old to rent the vehicle, and only 50% knew that fuel and insurance was included in the hourly rental, which is huge when we talk about cost with our students. So some of the benefits of the car share program, some of our findings and what we'd like to highlight. So first, students valued convenience and flexibility. And they talked about this could be a convenient option. It is on campus. It gives me flexibility. I don't have to depend on others for rides. The features of the car share vehicles are nice. They're roomy vehicles if I need a larger vehicle possibly, or if I need a more reliable vehicle. It does offer some cost savings. Provides freedom. Again, don't have to depend on others. It's a dependable backup vehicle. There is a lower age requirement to rent, so they only have to be 18 versus 21 or 25 with some of the other traditional rentals. There is an app which students really liked. It can offer time savings, and also the current members said that the customer service was fabulous, that every time they called to have a problem, customer service was great, so something we might want to highlight. So again, just to kind of go into two of these. So convenience and flexibility from the focus groups. This was the most often mentioned benefit. So again, students said you don't have to find a ride to go to a place to find a ride. And they even went as far as to say a lot of people don't need cars with this program. So if you're only using a car for a couple hours a week, car share is a great alternative than paying for having your own vehicle. So cost savings as well. We asked students, of all of these different options, what's the most important thing? So this was from the survey. What's the most important thing, or how important, I should say, are these different attributes when deciding if you would join the car share program? And you can see extremely important, the highest majority was given to cost savings. So students are very cost sensitive, which we need to be aware of. So just some conclusions. I know this was quick, so the identification of barriers and benefits is very useful to gain a better understanding of students' perceptions. So we found that some of our main findings, students are price sensitive, so cost was identified as a major barrier and benefit. They value freedom, flexibility, time, and convenience. The majority of students are unaware of the program. There's a lot of misconceptions regarding what's included in the program features, and importantly, students trust other students. So lastly, again, since my background's in social marketing, I just kind of wanted to give, this is very preliminary. This is just kind of an idea of what we could do with these findings. So say we wanted to develop some kind of campaign to really promote students to become members of this program. So I picked priority audiences such as incoming freshman resident students. So USF just recently changed where all freshman students now have to live on campus for their first year. So that's a great opportunity to have these students join this program. And then also international students who often come to the campus without cars. So using the 4 Ps of the marketing strategy or the marketing mix. So products, some of the things that we'd want to highlight to students, a core product is that car share will give you freedom, independence, and cost savings. So some of our major benefits that students identified. The actual product is what we really want students to do is sign up and become a member. So join the car share program. Some of the price tools or strategies, when we asked students in the focus groups what would encourage them to use the car share program, they talked about rewards. And we asked, what kind of rewards would you like? And we followed this up in the survey. And students really like the idea of a reward-based incentive program like frequent flyer miles would be the best type of incentive. And then also a pledge strategy to not bring a vehicle on campus for 2 semesters. Since they already have to live on campus the first year, we really want students to see that they can live that first year on campus without a vehicle. There are alternatives. There are other modes. So place, students talked about orientation again, that this would be the best place to learn about the car share program, so we want to get those messages to them then. Have convenient vehicle locations. It has to be within a half a mile of the dorms, or just our students will not participate. And then also information available at the vehicle parking spaces. So either moving the vehicles to lots that aren't employee lots, or having it very clearly on the vehicles that these are for students to rent, providing information right there at the vehicles. Because as it stands right now, there's only a sign in front of the vehicle that says Enterprise Car Share, and it gives the student no other information about what the program entails or what it would be like to join. There is a website, but it's that extra step that maybe students aren't going to remember to do later. And then lastly, promotion. So students talked about trustworthy sources or other students. So we really want our student ambassadors who have used the program to go to orientation, talk with other students, tell them how important this program is and how much it can benefit them. And then also USF branded messages in vehicles, which we are working on now. Enterprise has been great about putting the USF logo on some of their new promotional items, and we're going to be putting USF promotional like emblems and things on the cars to really brand them as this is for USF students. This isn't an outside private entity coming in here. This is USF. This is for our students. And that's